You never know where interesting, curious, and fascinating things will appear next. You can literally choose any country in the world, and brilliantly strange things have been found there. So we chose to investigate Israel. Welcome to a new video. These are the 16th strangest things recently discovered in Israel. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to our channel. It's free. Now let's get started. Number 16. The Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls are a collection of ancient Jewish handwritten texts that were discovered in the late 20th century in the vicinity of the Dead Sea near present-day Israel and Jordan. These scrolls are believed to have enormous historical and religious significance. The literary significance includes a wide range of biblical texts, religious commentaries, hymns, calendars, and various other writings. The discovery of the scrolls changed the study of ancient Judaism and Christianity and provided new insights into the development of religious thought. The evolution of the biblical text and the cultural and historical context of the time, whether it be cars, clothing, musical styles, or whatever. These manuscripts continue to be the subject of intense scholarly research and enthusiastic reception by Bible fans everywhere, as you can imagine. Number 15. Wooden structure tied to worship. Recently, the Dead Sea finally dried up, and now that this has come to light, it was a time that it dried up in a warm climate. And when that kind of thing happens, peculiar trash that is at the bottom of the sea can come to the surface for everyone to see. Often it is just dead sea creatures or trash. But on this occasion, a particular wooden structure was found. What no one knows with the best guess is that it is some kind of ancient tribal structure long lost and was possibly built to be worshipped by a long-lost culture. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Number 14. A really very old seed. So the Judean date palm is a date tree that grows in Judea. Well, anyway, this tree was considered to be the symbol of fertility in the region during ancient times, and it was found all over the area for centuries until it almost disappeared. These trees were cultivated until the 14th century AD, when the infrastructure of the area was rapidly altered, and climate change made the growth of the trees more difficult, and so they slowly disappeared from the landscape. And then in 2005, a group of scientists managed to resurrect the tree from an ancient preserved seed. In fact, that seed was 2,000 years old, and it is the oldest seed that has ever been germinated with human help. That seed grew into a date palm, which was then named Methuselah, which is not the same as the very old tree in the California desert that bears the same name. Anyway, after the success of the first sprout, scientists then grew 6 more from ancient seeds, and the Judean date palm was brought back from extinction. Number 13. Huzzah Mosque. Discovered in the Negev desert in 2022, a group of archaeologists discovered a 12,000-year-old mosque in Israel's Negev desert, making it one of the oldest mosques discovered anywhere in the world. The mosque in Rahad is square in shape and has a small dome facing Mecca on its southern wall. The discovery came during the excavation of some planned constructions in the area. They found a bunch of pottery at the site dating back to the 7th and 8th centuries. This has been of great help in determining the age of the mosque. Another mosque from a similar era was discovered in 2019, but it did not have any additional artifacts. It is also believed that these mosques would have served a rural farming settlement. As well as this newly discovered mosque, the ruins of a mansion were also found, and it is believed that it was possibly owned by wealthy Bantaine Christians. The mansion had elaborately frescoed walls, stone pavement, plaster, floors, and a wide table. There were also 2 ovens, including a large one next to a water source. This arrangement has suggested that the operation and production of soap was perhaps the household trade. The absence of archaeological evidence of violence would suggest that there were friendly reasons and relations between the Byzantines and the early Islamic rulers. This transition from Christianity to Islam in the region may have occurred through a variety of means, including local conversion and the influence of the traitor. This mosque has given archaeologists a new set of information to understand the growth of Islam around the world. Number 12. Middle Eastern opium from the 14th century BC. An ancient burial site in Israel has revealed the earliest known use of the narcotic opium. This is a burial complex that is about 7 meters southeast of Tel Aviv. The archaeological excavation unearthed all forms of ceramic vessels, and it was inside one of them that traces of opium were discovered. Although these containers and the burial site in which they were found date back some 3,400 years, it is thought that the containers may have played some sort of role in the people's burial rituals. At that time, the area is known to have been inhabited by the Canaans. These were an ancient people who lived from the Bronze Age to the Iron Age throughout the Middle Eastern region, covering present-day Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, and parts of Jordan and Syria. So it is thought to have been a Canaanite site. No one knows exactly how they may have used opium in their funeral rituals, but there are theories that the priest may have ingested it in a drink and then entered a state of ecstasy. Number 11.18, 800-year-old shipwreck. When a man went diving off the coast of Israel in May 2023, he discovered a shipwreck that had apparently been resting on the seabed for approximately 18,800 years. The ship had been carrying a huge cargo of marble objects when it apparently sank in the waters some 24 miles off the coast of Tel Aviv. There were dozens of marble pieces, including various architectural features, such as column heads, a massive architrave and decorative mouldings. The cargo had been underwater for some 2,000 years, and although authorities knew this, they had never had its precise location. So they were glad to finally know exactly where to find it. It seems that a recent storm had moved the sands on the seabed, and the marbles had been uncovered so that they were visible once again to divers. According to historians, it is likely that the wreck had been a merchant ship transporting these marbles to be part of a temple or a theatre, but whatever the building was, it was certainly very grand. Number 10, Tel Megiddo. We have a place called Tel Megiddo, or Governor's Mound, or more terrifyingly known as Armageddon. It is an ancient city mound that is located in northern Israel near the modern city of Megiddo. It has been continuously inhabited for over 5,000 years, and that has made it one of the most important archaeological sites in all of history. This place is the fourth most fortified city in Israel, but there is a problem. As it was strategically located at a key crossroads of ancient trade routes, Tagalog was a major urban center in the ancient region nearby. To the east, it controlled several important routes connecting Egypt to Mesopotamia, and was an essential crossroads for all kinds of trade, as well as a lot of military activities of the time. Loads of layers of archaeological remains spanning various periods of history, ranging from the Bronze Age, Iron Age, and continuing through to the Hellenistic, Roman, and Byzantine periods, and the various excavations that have taken place there, have uncovered extensive fortifications, palaces, temples, and other structures, and have offered a wealth of information to historians about the ancient city, its architectural planning and daily life. Most obviously, that it has a massive and extremely well-preserved system of defensive fortifications, including massive walls, gates, and ramparts, all showing how valuable the city's strategic position was and its history of military conflict. Its significance goes far beyond its archaeology. It has religious and cultural significance in the Christian tradition as well. It is associated with the prophetic site of the final battle between good and evil, commonly known as the Battle of Armageddon, mentioned in the Book of Revelation. This is an obsession amongst certain groups of Christians and has even resulted in them taking some truly sick pleasures in the wars that the region has been suffering from, as if you are so filled with religious zeal that you lost your humanity. It indicates that the end of times are near, and the faithful will be ascending towards heaven. Unsurprisingly, it could also indicate that power and money are corrupting forces and that war is the result. But whatever it is, today, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is also a popular destination for tourism historians and archaeology enthusiasts looking to explore ancient history. It is fun to tell people you are going on a trip to Armageddon if you enjoy that weirdness. Number 9. Life in the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is actually a landlocked salt lake between Jordan and the Israeli-occupied West Bank. It is intensely salty, at about 33.7% salt, which is 8.6 times saltier than the sea, which is about 3.5%. So there are not many people who can live in these kinds of conditions, hence the name. It is pretty dead there. But divers have recently discovered that beneath the surface of the Dead Sea there is something unexpected going on. It has been known since the 1930s that the Dead Sea is not completely dead. It is actually full of various microbes that are not at all disturbed by the salt factor, as it actually makes it impossible for other microbes to live there and compete for the environment. But recently, it was discovered that there are actually things that live there for years. There were ripples on the surface of the water that had not been explained, but it has now been discovered that they are caused by freshwater springs that bubble up at the bottom of the Dead Sea. These springs originated in craters and can be as deep as 100 feet below the surface. They are surrounded by geological formations, and these rocks are coated in biofilms that are made up of organisms. The water around these parts is much less salty and inhospitable to life, so life finds its way there. These organisms are adapted to live in the ever-changing mix of salt water and fresh water. It may be strange, but nature is often very strange. Number 8. The cave near Beit Shemesh. In an academic article, a historian speculated that a cave near Beit Shemesh in Israel was once believed to have been a portal to the underworld. They suggest that around 1700 years ago, people in the region used the cave for all sorts of magic rituals and other fun stuff. So the cave was first mapped by a British explorer in 1873, but then wasn't explored much until recently. Apparently, cave experts have been poking around the inner chambers and have discovered all sorts of strange junk. Here's some of it. A bunch of oil lamps, around 120 in total, as well as Bronze Age pottery and weapons. There are also what appear to be parts of 3 human skulls. This discovery has led researchers to speculate that necromancy, or communication with the dead, was practiced here and that the skulls were part of that specific ritual. It is believed that, based on the ancient faction of elements, this was happening here around 300 BC during the late Roman period. Number 7. Hamat Garda. Hamat Garda is a tourist destination in a river valley near the Sea of Galilee in Israel. It is famous for its hot springs that have been used for their therapeutic properties for literally thousands of years. The hot springs at Hamat Garda were known to the Romans. They loved a good bath and built them all over the world. At this site, they built extensive baths and spa facilities around the 2nd century AD. These particular baths were part of a larger recreational complex that the Romans liked to build, which included temples, courtyards, and entertainment areas. Today, visitors can still see the ruins of these Roman baths, but most people go there just for the waters. There are the hot springs, of course, but it also has plenty of other things for visitors to do. There are swimming pools, mud baths, saunas, and therapeutic treatments, and the site also has its own botanical gardens, restaurants, and picnic areas, so you can imagine that it's a popular destination for families and tourists alike, and it's kind of exciting. Number 6. The burial cave from the era of Ramses II. In 2022, archaeologists in Israel discovered a cave that the ancients had apparently sealed off some 3,300 years ago. The cave was found just a few meters from a beach south of Tel Aviv, and it seemed that the caveman's use dated back to a time when the ancient Egyptians led by Ramses II ruled over what is now Israel. Construction workers operating a mechanical excavator on a beach in the national park accidentally found the cave when the machine unexpectedly made a hole in the ceiling. Then, archaeologists from the Israel Antiquities Authority were called to the site and climbed down a staircase into the dark cave that seemed to have remained untouched for centuries, and inside it was a pile of carefully arranged pottery and bronze items, such as these were often associated with burial ceremonies in ancient times. The artifacts they found in the cave included dozens of ceramic vessels, some of which were painted red, as well as chalices, cooking vessels, and oil lamps. Some of these vessels were not locally made, but appeared to have been imported from Syria, Lebanon, and Cyprus in ancient times. In addition to all this pottery fun, the cave also contained bronze arrowheads, and it seemed that the sealed nature of the cave meant that much of it had remained unlooted, which is extremely unusual. Number 5. Ivories discovered in Jerusalem. In the city of Jerusalem a few years ago, some excavations in a parking lot unearthed a bunch of ancient pieces. Apparently, a lot of people were really excited about this discovery as, according to biblical references, they used evidence from the First Temple period in Jerusalem. It involves a collection of ivory plaques that were apparently part of the inlay work on a bed that was inside a palace in Jerusalem, built sometime during the 1st century Temple period between 1200 and 586 BC. The story goes that King Solomon had built the first temple in 1000 BC after King David conquered Jerusalem and made it his capital. Number 4. The miraculous pool. Back in 2004, a group of archaeologists identified a pool or remains of one that they believed to have been the Pool of Siloam, which the Bible says is where Jesus performed the miracle of curing a man's blindness. The pool runs through an Arab neighborhood, but in ancient times the pool was used by Jews for ritual immersion for about 120 years until 70 CE, when the Romans destroyed the temple. There is archaeological evidence that the pool was once connected to the Temple Mount and was part of a larger temple through systems. In the old days, legend has it that the pure waters could even cure a person suffering from leprosy. The waters were said to cure the physically ill, but also the spiritually ill. Number 3. A strange Neanderthal dating back to between 120,000 and 140,000 years ago. early humans migrated from Africa to the Middle East. During this time, they apparently encountered a strange-looking Neanderthal with modern stone tools. The discovery of new fossils in Israel has all the scientists very excited and wondering if it could be the oldest known Neanderthal in the Middle East, or perhaps a remnant of an unknown Neanderthal, an ancestor. The plot thickens. The Middle East was basically a crossroads of sorts for both modern humans and Neanderthals. The recent discovery was made in a limestone quarry in the central part of Israel and included tools and fossils dating back to 120,000 to 140,000 years ago. The stone tools found at the site were similar to those later used by Neanderthals and modern humans, but strangely, the fossils did not match either species. Instead, they had a mix of archaic and Neanderthal, similar traits that seemed to suggest they belonged to a previously unknown population of Homo or another Neanderthal lineage. Whatever happened, it seems that humans and Andals may have been exchanging information, or at least encountering each other in ways that were previously unknown. Number 2, City Gate in Israel. In southern Israel, archaeologists discovered an early Bronze Age city gate at Terani. The gate was built about 5,500 years ago and features a passageway that had been constructed from large stones and thousands of mud bricks. Its discovery implies that urbanization through this gate helps archaeologists establish the time when there was a shift from people living scattered around the region to residing within the city walls. The gate predates a similar one that was found and dates back 300 years. Number 1. Funny biblical inscription. Once again in southern Israel, an archaeologist discovered a 3,100-year-old jar fragment with 5 letters written on it in ink. Sounds like a fitting discovery. I know you think these letters could actually represent the judge's nickname in the Book of Judges. The team found the artifact at a dig site in a forest in the Judean hills in 2019 and then dated it to around 1100 BC. Using both pottery typology and radiocarbon dating, this discovery lines up with the time period that was described in the Book of Judges, which scholars have generally placed between 1200 and 1050 BCE. However, the book itself was likely written around 550 BCE. We've reached the end of this video. Tell us your thoughts in the comments box. If you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss future videos like this one. See you next time.